Hey, it's Kim, and we're doing a quick flip through of June in my daily planner. So I'm just gonna get right into it. It's July 1st, so I switched into a new cover. I did mention it in my last video, um, but this has been on my channel before. I do have a video all about this cover. It's custom from VDS. And getting right into June with the monthly layout. So everything worked out really well with the monthly layout. I feel like all of my monthly layouts pretty much work and operate the same. And I usually will go back and fill in items of like things that I might want to refer back to later on, like maybe in the year, to see when was the last time I ... So that is how I use my monthly layout for June. My weeklies were also in that format, that multi layout format. And I did mention that I wanted to switch to something else for July, and you will have seen in my July Plan With Me video, if you watched it. If not, I'll have it linked, that I did decide to switch to a different weekly layout. And I can say that the first week in that different layout, which is my old layout, which may be confusing, feels a little bit off. I feel like I got really settled into this Noti layout because I did truly like it so much. But I did want to switch it up and try something new. But my weeklies ended up working extremely well for me. Nothing new necessarily. Again, I do have some weeks where on the right hand side I don't have a lot of notes or anything that were week specific. So that is like some empty space, and I've just taken to leaving that dinner plan that I usually put on a sticky note over on the right hand side to fill up more of that space. And then also at the end of the month, I just went through and added other stickers that I had from the Sterling Ink subscription kit, just so that I could kind of use them up, especially some of the larger stickers that I didn't use in my dailies. So that's what I did after the fact. And then this is the last weekly for June. And it's just more of the same. So the weeklies worked extremely well for me for this month. And just to give you a peek, I guess, at this current week, which I need to switch my sticker. I need to make new tabs anyway. But so I switched to this other timeline layout that I'm used to using, or I was using previously. So that's what I'm using. The Noti weeklies work just fine. And as I suspected, which I mentioned in that July Plan With Me video, I am very sick of the pink. So I did pink last week, and then this weekly spread is also pink themed. I'm ready to move on. So I'm glad that there's no other pink in all the other weeklies that I have set up for the rest of the month. So next up is the tracker. So my tracker worked out well for this month. I did do something a little bit differently, which I'm hoping you can kind of see. So at the bottom, well, I'll take it from the top. So I have my usual items that I track for my habits, my devotional time, vitamins, hydrating, workout, journal, all that other stuff. I track when I might have migraines or take medication for migraines, my cycle day, my energy level, sleep, hours, weight, and I started tracking my mood. So I wanted to kind of see, especially considering I've been having some digestive issues going on lately, which does affect my migraines, my sleep and energy level. So of course I wanted to see how my mood was fitting in with that as well. But I didn't want to use anything like a color-coded mood system. I feel like that's a bit too much. I didn't want to track like 8 different mood levels. I also feel like that's a bit too much. I'm also the type of person who the way I feel in the morning is completely different than the way I feel in the evening. So I feel like to be so detailed, I don't know, will probably drive me crazy because I don't know, it would just change. So what I tried to do was to have kind of like an overarching idea of how I felt throughout the day. And I made these little smiley faces. I'm hoping you can see them, but the top one is a smiley face. The one in the middle is just kind of indifferent, and then the one on the bottom is sad. So I was tracking my mood in that way and used kind of like a line graph to see how that relates with everything else that I have going on in this bottom section. And I do find that that is very interesting. Like a lot of times on the days where I'm just like not into it, like these where my mood is generally down, I got like terrible sleep and my energy was, terrible, as one might expect. But I found that to be very interesting to see. And I do want to continue tracking my mood for the months going forward, at least like next month, maybe the next couple of months. So that will be my plan. All right, so the next section would be my dailies. And that starts with my June dashboard. I did add a few more things throughout the month to what I was tracking for, like what I'm focusing on reading, learning, watching, and projects. And those got completed just fine. And then on the opposite side, we have my one line a day where I write down a highlight of the day, or actually sometimes like a low light, just anything that I thought for the day. So that's what I write on my one line a day spread. And then the next page is that game plan. So in my monthly, there's like a monthly game plan / reset video that I recently posted. And I talk through all of the questions that I kind of ask myself, or all of the things that I think through when prepping for a new month. And I decided to put it in here for June and for the purposes of that video. However, going forward, I've decided to leave it in my goal notebook, which there may be a video on one day. Who knows? So getting into the dailies, those have been pretty much the same, at least in the beginning part of June, where I'm just listing out my tasks for the day, some thoughts that I might have, through a bit of micro journaling. I have some scriptures that I wrote down. I have my weekly reviews. And then I did, on this couple of days, did a little bit of doodling. We went out to play tennis, or to practice tennis. I know nothing about tennis. My daughter dragged me out on one of like the hottest days ever. Also, we've been into Uno for the past few family game nights. So I wrote a little bit of a blurb about that. And then I actually didn't draw this. I printed this out on printer paper and it's really thin, but I recognize now looking at the camera that it kind of does look like I drew it, but I did not. So again, just the task list, the weekly reviews, and sticking down some of those sterling ink stickers wherever they might fit. And then on this spread, I did use the vellum that came in the sterling ink kit. And I haven't done that a lot lately, but I would usually cut down a piece or two of vellum to cover up some notes pages, usually to cover if there's anything that's kind of like personal that maybe I don't want broadcast on the internet, or just things that kind of don't vibe with all the other colors that are going on in my planner. Really, that's the main reason. Just so that everything looks cohesive. So that's what I did here. And I do have some like financial information underneath this page, which is what I'm covering up. And then we flip over. I continue to do a little bit more doodling here and there. And that's one of the major things that I've noticed in June. Like I wanted to add a lot more doodling, a lot more, I guess, just personal and journaling touches throughout my daily pages. So that's what I've been doing. In the video that I recently put out, my quarterly planner update, I mentioned that I really wanted to lean into some of that creativity and getting back into how I would do more creative spreads when I was bullet journaling. I think this is all related, doing a little bit of doodling and filling that into my daily pages. Another thing that I noticed, because I kind of gave myself the latitude or the space and the room to do that, I really liked it. It was more thoughtful. I was more thoughtful, I should say, about maybe the little bits of journaling that I added. I was more thoughtful about sticker placement and just adding a few personal touches. Like this is a little fluorescent paper heart that my daughter gave me, and I put that there. Oh, this next spread. This was the weekend that we had to put down our dog, Rocky. So this is like ode to Rocky. So I included that in this spread as well. So a lot more of those personal touches. It doesn't have to match, doesn't have to go, you know. It is kind of just how I like to look back on my life and look back on these days and to see like what's really going on in our lives. So that's what I've been leaning a lot more into for June. Now, because I set up July pretty early, it was like I think the second week of June that I did my July plan with me. I had already sectioned out at the beginning of the year like where I would start each month. So for July, I had planned to start it according to that original kind of index that I set up for which pages would start when. Where is that? It's just like a little sticky note. Here it is, that I put together when I first set up this planner for 2024. Also, this is the Sterling Ink Common Planner in the N1 size. It's the full year if I didn't mention that. So I kind of plotted out which pages that each month would start on. So for July, I started it on page 184. Because of that, as we got closer to July, starting closer to the end of June, I realized that I would have a lot more pages. So I decided just for that last week of June to do one page per day. So I definitely took the liberty of just filling up a bunch of other stuff with stickers and things that I might have printed out online to just fill up the pages. Also, I did a lot more doodling, a lot more micro journaling throughout the day. And I separated thoughts, or I guess like different inserts, or what do you call them? Entries, with just a line in between. So if I would come back like this, maybe it was from the morning, afternoon, and evening type of thing. Just to kind of separate the thoughts if I do go back and read them, which I don't always do. So I knew I had a page per day for that last week. So on this Friday, I decided to do kind of like a timetable to plot out when I planned to do all of the tasks that were on my list. That's how I left that. Saturday, I filled up a lot of the space with stickers. And then Sunday, I didn't do too much, which was actually yesterday. I thought about going back and journaling a bit on this page, but I probably won't. So I'm not going to. And then we have the weekly review, week 26 review for that last week. And here is where I'm going to be putting my June journal spread, which actually, when we wrap up this video, I'm going to be filming it. So that's what this spread is for. And then that still allowed me 2 additional pages before I get into July in my daily pages. So I'll definitely be marking these with like a little post-it note so that I can come back and fill it up with any collections or notes that I plan to add in the future. So that's how June shaped up for me in my planner. I really enjoyed being in here a lot more on my daily pages, being in here a lot more and just adding more personal touches, doodling here and there. Honestly, I mean, who's got the time? Not a lot of us have a lot of time to just be sitting at a planner and drawing, but sometimes it is fun to reserve those spaces and to fill some things in. Like my daughter and I went to Chick-fil-A in the morning, so I doodled for that. Why not? Like I reserved that space and I knew that I would come back and write in that Chick-fil-A logo. So those are just those little touches that I enjoyed incorporating for the month of June. So I'm excited to do a lot more of that in July, and that is going to be my plan. So that's how June shaped up in my planner. Not too different from the way I usually use my planner, but a few of those little tweaks and surprises that I wasn't expecting that I do plan to take with me into the coming weeks and months. I hope you enjoyed this little flip and this little peek into my planner. Thank you so much for following along on today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.